Hello, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this series is called Dilemmas of a Small Business Guru. And it's going to be in video and as well as audio podcasts. And out of all of this will come an ebook called Dilemmas of a Small Business Guru. And the reason I'm calling it, and it's the intention of this, is that any of us who are in business for ourselves and or in business with other people, is we're looking intentionally to master business so that we're successful and we feel fulfillment in what we do, fulfillment in our hearts, but also fulfillment in how we bring that to the world, how we make our contributions to the world. So I really see each and every one of us as intending to be a small business guru. And today I have an intentional in progress business guru, small business guru. This is Jen Hughes. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
And Jen is with Ventures Nonprofit in Seattle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Great. So Jen, tell us, first of all, tell us the name more so in your of Ventures Nonprofit, and tell us the website so that people can know where that is immediately. And then we'll talk some more.
So you can find Ventures Nonprofit at www.venturesnonprofit.org. And you can also follow us on Facebook at Ventures Nonprofit.
You know, it's so nice when people have easy names. It's like Ventures Nonprofit. That's what it is. That's what we are. And that's what we call ourselves. So that's awesome. And Jen, you also, when we talked in preparing for this, you talked that you have your own small business on the side. What is that?
I do. I'm a mobile yoga teacher, bringing yoga and meditation and respite to social service agencies and their staff. And so my micro business is Nourished Vitality, and you can find me at www.nourishedvitality.weebly.com.
Weebly.com. Excellent. And you're in the Seattle area, obviously.
I am, yes.
Yes. And tell us, it's great to hear what you're doing in terms of being a mobile yoga teacher. That's very cool. Tell us what you do with Ventures Nonprofit.
Yeah, so I've been with Ventures since 2012, and right now in my role, I'm the Director of Training and Special Projects. So that encompasses a lot of different things, but mainly I oversee our entrepreneurial training programs, mostly our entry point into our programs, which is a cornerstone business development training program for Spanish-speaking and English-speaking individuals. And then a variety of advanced training and support and technical assistance afterwards. So that could include public speaking workshops or social media. We have a marketing program that we offer, operations, sales, all that training, skills, and knowledge to help an entrepreneur be successful. So I oversee that, and then I work closely with our business incubator team. We have a retail incubator located in the Pike Place Market where we incubate about 90 artists, featuring their products on the shelf in the heart of the Pike Place Market. Wow. And then we also have a food incubator program supporting food businesses, giving them access to a food truck. Our food truck is called Word of Mouth. You can also find us on Instagram at Word of Mouth. And then we also have access to commercial kitchen space and support for packaged foods businesses. So I oversee a lot of different things, and no 2 days are the same.
Holy Toledo. That's awesome. That's awesome. So Ventures Nonprofit is an organization that supports, who is it supporting?
Yeah, so our mission is empowering aspiring entrepreneurs who have limited resources, who want to be their own boss. So our goal is really to help folks achieve economic self-sufficiency through the pathway of small business ownership. And that might be running a full-time business, that could be a part-time business or a seasonal business to supplement income from another part-time or full-time job, but really supporting those who are aspiring but may not have the access to traditional business development resources otherwise.
That's awesome. And your primary clients are people who are, like you said, Hispanic, Latinos, and tell us a little bit more about who you're working with primarily.
Yeah, so we about 35% of the clients that we do serve are Spanish speaking, and then we also have a really robust English speaking training program as well. But again, our Latino program is growing, which is really exciting, and about 70% of our clients are women, and 66% are people of color. So we're working primarily in South King County in South Seattle, but we serve the I-5 corridor in the Puget Sound. So Western Washington, we have folks coming down that we serve from Bellingham all the way to Olympia, Kitsap Peninsula to, we have some vendors in our store in Pike Place from Spokane. So
Wow.
hitting different parts of the state, but mostly our work and service area is in the South Seattle and South King County area.
That's terrific. That's for those of you in the other part of the world. That's a huge. That's like 100, at least like 150 miles.
Yeah.
And environment, and that's huge for an organization to support. So, thank you for that work. What's you know, usually up till now, I've talked with an individual who's running their own business, and your job is you're working with people who are coming up against dilemmas and challenges. And so in a sense, you're supporting them and being with their dilemmas. What's like the primary dilemma or challenge that your clients are facing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we see a couple different things. Working with low wealth and underserved communities, we work with about 75% of our client base is coming from generational poverty. 25% roughly is in a situational poverty scenario. So that could be working at a company for 25 years and somebody gets laid off and they are at a point in their life where, wow, I don't think I could re-enter the workforce, so let me work for myself with the skills that I have. So we do get a little bit of that. But again, in the generational poverty, with those folks, that scenario leads to uncovering and kind of really supporting folks in unraveling limiting beliefs. So I'm not good enough. I don't have the support. I am in crisis mode a good amount of the time, trying to pay my rent and figure out childcare, figure out transportation, accessing different social services. Our social service system can be challenging for folks to navigate if they don't have the access to technology and transportation. And so on top of this, those folks are really trying to start a business. And so coming in with all of that background, we are the support system. We are the one-stop shop. So we offer not only the training and the coaching, but also access to capital and the financial services to support an entrepreneur. So they don't have to keep going to these different agencies to get that support for their business because they're already doing that in their life. So for other resources. So the other piece for us, you know, the confidence, that story that is run a lot of I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough, I don't have the skills to do this. Well, our role as business coaches within Ventures, all of us, all of the staff, even our operations staff, we're all coaches to clients. And that could be, you know, asking really great questions and helping them discover that they can do this. They have a really special gift and the world needs their business. So how do we help them get there? Well, we're just that support and that safety net. When things are not going so well in other areas of their life, we're there to listen and provide referrals. And so I think that's a really key piece, is that we're not only that business coach of the technical skills, but also that cheerleader and that that ally, and we're on their team essentially.
I want to dive in a little bit deeper into generational poverty. So just in terms of what does that mean for a person who is in that, we'll say, category? What does that mean for that person who is in or coming from that place of generational poverty?
Yeah, great. That's another really great question. So when I first started at Ventures 4 years ago, I had to really challenge my own beliefs and assumptions about what poverty is and how it exists in our own backyard in Seattle. And so working with our clients, no two clients have the same situation. But what we do know is that the relationship to wealth and assets is very different than somebody who's not in poverty. So that could be, I don't want to put my money in a bank because I'm going to lose it. That could be, when I get money, I have to spend it because if I don't, something bad is going to happen. So, it's 2 or more generations of poverty that make somebody classified in generational poverty. And the income guidelines are out there. A lot of people know about them, but I think Seattle is so unique because we're seeing the economic disparity grow, and so more and more people are affected, and that generational poverty can be perpetuating. And so we're kind of that intervention an intervention point of saying, wow, self-employment can be a pathway. It's a viable pathway. Let's stop the cycle. Let's get people opening bank accounts. Let's get people understanding where their money's going, empowering them to learn about their credit. But a lot of it is about the relationship with their financial health, and the training piece that we offer, in addition to the financial piece, for folks in generational poverty, it's knowing that they have a community of support, because a lot of folks in that situation that we see, they are isolated. They feel alone. They feel like they don't have that support. A lot of the folks that we work with, single parents. And so how do we come in, not only providing the intervention around the business piece, but life skills around understanding, oh, wow, a credit card with 24.9% interest is probably not the best way to pay for things in your business. Let's look at some different strategies. So it's really unraveling the beliefs about financial health and financial empowerment.
Right. And, a lot of these, a lot of what you're saying, it's like, whoopee, and let's get inspired and let's move into, support and fulfillment. At the same time, this place of generational poverty is in a sense a culture that says I can't. Nobody in my family has ever finished high school, perhaps, or just finished high school, or my friends are doing what they're doing, and if I get my head up a little bit, I'm going to feel bad because they're not doing that, and so I feel guilty or shame because of all that. So there's so much of that interpersonal and cultural influence in moving from that sense of hopeless, perhaps, or powerless or helpless, and like, what's the point? To saying, okay, I'm calling ventures, or I'm going to think outside my box. A friend of mine was saying his father was very, anyway, it was a client. I'm getting confused with my stories, but my client was saying that her father said, you were born into poverty, and this is as good as it gets. Literally, the father said this. This is as good as it gets. So, like, don't even bother to try to make it better for yourself. And the father lived that way for all of his life. Yep. And so for an individual to say, okay, I don't believe that, but that memory, if you will, is entrenched, enmeshed in my system. It's very difficult to move, and even to say, I'm going to prove my dad wrong. I can do this. There's some of that generational then conflict, and that if I do that, then I'm proving my dad wrong, and that's, we have stuff about that. So that's for me, and again, the intention of this program, this series, is to say, wow, here's all these this organization, you in particular, that's offering this possibility, but for people to say, hey, who am I? Like you're saying, who am I to even reach out to Ventures nonprofit or to anybody. Who am I to become a success when the culture or my family has been so oppressed or depressed or, in poverty for so long?
Yeah, and I think the unique thing that our unique flavor per se is that we are out to develop a community of entrepreneurs. And so there's a magic that happens when there are 25 to 30 entrepreneurs in our Cornerstone 8-week program, our business development training program. And you get them in class number 1 and the magic starts to happen immediately because they're coaching each other. And so that's what's really unique about our model, is that peer support of saying, yeah, I'm a single mom too, and I'm trying to I'm trying to sell my jewelry as well, and you're trying to sell your bath and beauty products. I get it. I get it. And let's work together. So I think, in our traditional idea of small business and business in general, it's, well, not everybody's out for themselves in our organization. We're about developing that community because there's so much richness that can come from that of, hey, I have this person you should contact about getting a logo, or they're going to do barter for you, or this packaging is really affordable for your soap. That happens so naturally because we're just providing the container for that. And yes, we teach the classes and the skills,
Yes.
how to determine your break-even point. But the real power is in the power of the community. And
Yes.
I think as micro businesses, and we're serving micro, tiny businesses, businesses of one, maybe some part-time employees. So that is become so much more integral into the success of those businesses.
Yes. So so as I was speaking, I was talking about this culture that says you can't do it, or who am I to do this? And you guys are creating a container that allows for a paradigm shift where it's like, wow, you're doing it and you're doing it and you're doing it and your situation sucks even more than mine does and you're doing it. I can do it too.
I can do it too. Yeah.
That's environment of a paradigm shift, that environment of shifting, of seeing that there's, like you say, more than one of us who's actually doing this, that it's so inspiring. It's so inspiring.
It is. And I think, what you spoke to is so powerful because the way our clients hear about our programs is through another client. So somebody in their community says, hey, I went through the Ventures program. We used to be known as Washington Cash. We rebranded last year, but it's that word of mouth of saying, oh, okay. And we actually are so lucky where we don't have to go out and do a ton of recruitment for our programs because our clients are so proud of what they got from it. And so I think that piece, when you have somebody in your community, in your situation saying, hey, I did this thing and it really helped me. And maybe I didn't start a business, but I got more confidence. I understand how to do a personal budget. I understand, I have more confidence to apply for a job now, whatever those success indicators are, but they're telling each other, and that sharing is so powerful in the community.
Yeah. Awesome. One of the things that I love about what you guys are doing is, as well as everything that you just said, is that you provide microloans for people and support that way. So, and again, I'm looking at what's that place where people are willing, like what's that place inside where people are willing to ask for support? Because it's like, why me? And if I get it, then John down the street isn't going to be able to get it, or Mary, I'm taking something away from, because in terms of the poverty orientation, we're thinking if I have it, they don't, or if they have it, I don't. So can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so we do have a microloan program, and when we say microloan, we're offering $500 to $35,000. That's kind of our window. Our average loan size is probably just over $2,000. I think to get people to that point of asking for support, it takes this really long-term relationship with staff at our organization, staff and volunteers. So when somebody comes into the program, I mean, we're working with them 18 to 24 months. We don't really have we don't have a defined exit. You're done from ventures,
Yes.
Which I appreciate as an employee. We support people wherever they are at. But it takes a long-term relationship for us to get to the point where we really get to know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where the ask for support comes from. When they realize, after working with me or our senior manager of incubation or our director of financial services, those relationships take a long time to develop, and more unravels as those relationships develop over time.
What is it that makes it take? What is it that makes it take so long? What gets in the way of that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is pride. I think there is that whole piece that you talked about, guilt and shame, the I'm not good enough story. So I want to put on a really good, strong front, because our culture says as business owners, you have to have it all together. And you don't. I don't.
Yes.
As a tiny business owner, and that's hard for somebody. That is really hard for somebody to say, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay rent this month.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're going to live next month. And knowing that even if they took out a tiny loan, it could make the difference in their business to get them into 5 more stores or something. So it's that continuous loop of, I'm not good enough. I have to put on a front and be strong. I have to be strong, not only for myself, but my kids, my family, my partner, And so when we have those long-term relationships and the trust, we're meeting with them maybe once a week, twice a week, maybe it's in person, it's on the phone, and we start to break down those walls. And that's where that vulnerability shows up. And that's where we can really identify what's going to support you in the best way possible.
Right.
So, and so I think that's why it takes a while. Granted, we have some clients come in, typically in the situational poverty scenario, where they identify a little faster. Oh, okay, I know I need a loan to move my business forward. And the other piece is debt averse. A lot of the folks that we're serving, I would say a good 80%, and I would put myself in there, are debt averse. And so, we don't really see how access to capital would grow my business, because we just shut down and say, I don't want a loan. I don't want that debt. I've been there before, walked that path. It didn't work out well. And so we have to do a lot of coaching and scenario planning with folks to say, well, if you took out a $2,000 loan, this is what it could potentially do for your business. And we're going to be here every step of the way. And that's the beauty of working with us. We're a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution. So, non-traditional lending is becoming more and more popular for folks and accessible.
Yes.
So it's making that timeline shorter, but it still takes some time to get people to that point where they realize, oh, this could really help my business.
Yes. And my family and my children. Yeah.
Yep.
And I that place of the interpretation of I need to be strong means I need, initially in a sense says, I need to do this on my own. I can't ask for help. I can't ask for support. I got to look good and strong and in a sense support my pride in that way. And what I'm hearing is there's that point where people go, oh, I had this strong thing backwards. In a sense, I'm trying to be strong by being my own person, as opposed to being strong and asking for help, being strong to not only ask for help, but receive the support so that I can be strong in the way that actually grows my life, expands my abilities, and expands who I am in not only in my children's eyes or my family's eyes or my culture's eyes, but in my own eyes. And that's a huge place for all of us, and even for me, I've got 3 master's degrees. I have a PhD. I've written 10 books. And yet it would be great to have a loan to support some stuff that I want to do. And it's like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. There's that place of, and what would that mean? And oh my God, that constriction conversation in my head starts to happen, as I'm sure it does, like you said, for like 80% of the people who are like debt averse. Is like, I just can't take on more debt. I don't know what, but I know at the same time that can increase and influence my situation dramatically. So even a person with that's had many positive influences in my life, I still am in that place of much of what you're talking about, generational poverty or whatever it is that we say is limiting to our evolution, to our fulfillment.
And I think there is a piece as a nonprofit. There's a lot of assumptions around nonprofit agencies and how, they're. I think of myself as a white woman of privilege, coming in and not having savior syndrome, and that can be challenging sometimes. We want to help so much, but it's really letting our business owners that we work with drive their success. So that's a huge tenet and philosophy of our organization and our model, is that we're not writing the business plans for people. We're not filing their Schedule C federal taxes. We're not, managing their marketing. We're showing them how to do it and letting them really be the leaders in the conversation. They are the drivers, and they have the skills.
Yes.
So having that takes us out of that need to save and fix and change people, and kind of takes the pressure off, I think, in some really good ways. And the other piece for me is when we...
Well, before you go there, I want to come back, back, because it's really important. There's that distinction. We think of nonprofits quite often as being charitable organizations. And I'm involved with an organization called Global Women's Leadership Network in the Bay Area, Santa Clara. And many of the women that use that training program are from all over the world. And the shift from looking at charity versus the empowerment that comes, for instance, through everything that you're talking about, your job is to empower people to empower themselves, as opposed to, and giving them the tools and the resources to empower themselves to do that, as opposed to, like what you were saying, it's like, we don't give people money to help them. We don't do those things for them. We teach them and give them the skills to do it for themselves. And every single one of us who's in the small business world has to do this for ourselves. It's like one step at a time. And again, it doesn't matter race or privilege or those kinds of things. Every single one of us has to take the direct experience of taking responsibility for what we say we want. And it doesn't, we were talking about, in a sense, the limiting beliefs that every single one of us has within us, because we've just been enculturated to think certain ways. Every single one of us has to, at some way, somehow, overcome that. And having an organization and resources available where people can go, okay, I get it. I'm thinking this way and it's not working for me, help me empower myself to think differently. So I wanted to get that in there. And there was another thing you were going to say.
I appreciate that, because the thinking like an entrepreneur is a lot of what our training programs are. That's our mission and vision, is that everybody's a business coach for everybody else. Everybody's responsible for everybody else's success. So when you have 25 other people working on your business, that's pretty empowering.
That's very empowering. Yeah.
We have our businesses, and there are babies, we're attached, we're emotionally invested, and so I want my logo to look like this because I like it. Well,
Yes.
it's really not about you. It's about your customers and what you're out to do in the world. So I think that when those relationships and networks start to develop between the entrepreneurs, then we really get the best of both worlds, where we're seeing that, and clients asking other clients really tough questions in their loan presentations, or giving them feedback around how they give their pitch. That is really powerful, and I don't think that is we don't see that a lot in the small business world, working with low wealth communities. But I appreciate that, and that's one of the reasons I love my work so much, is because of that philosophy and that strong the strength of that vision and that philosophy.
Yes.
So
And I can imagine for you, and as I'm listening to you, I'm aware of that part that says, oh, generational poverty, low income, all of those kinds of things equals ignorance and incompetence. And what I'm hearing you say is that as you're, I mean, I'll talk about something later on, but as you're saying that, it's like, well, I know that, I know so many people who finished high school but never went into college, but have incredible brilliance and smarts. And so you get to be a witness for these people who you get to watch and observe the innate intelligence and the innate wisdom and the innate ability to empower ourselves and others. You get to watch and observe and witness all of that, and in a sense be that cheerleader. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
And the transformation that happens, and I want to speak a little bit to our 8-week program. It's 8 weeks. It's once a week for 3 hours, and so we do sales and marketing in the first 3 weeks, financials in the second 3 weeks, class on operations, and we end with this really inspiring graduation. And I measure my life in 8-week programs,
Yes.
but it's that graduation. Just talking about the graduation, it gives me goosebumps, because from class 1 to their graduation, the transformation that occurs is so big, and we get to see them give their pitch. They bring their friends and family. We share in this community dinner, and they get to display their businesses around the room. And when those businesses bring their partners and parents and grandparents and kids and aunts and uncles and cousins to this event to say, I did this and I'm making my life better. I mean, there's so much emotion in that evening where transformation truly occurs, and all the stuff that has to happen to get them to that point. They're figuring out childcare and work schedules and transportation and taking 3 buses to get to class every night, and they're there consistently. Yes. 8 weeks, showing up, doing the work, working on their business. That is inspiring, and that breaks down that whole story that our culture has of, ignorance, low wealth, not working hard. And I just invite people to, come to our graduation. It's August 29th in Seattle, and see the transformation that occurs, because it is so inspiring, and it's a breath of fresh air for what can happen in communities around economic empowerment.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for you and for Ventures Nonprofit for being like you said, the principles and the mission and the vision that you guys have is not about the charitable, as if these individuals are incompetent and ignorant. It's the ability, the vision to see all of us as brilliant, wise, capable, empowering people, empowered people, and to create an environment where they get to deal with their dilemmas and deal with their pride and their cultural messages, and be able to transform those you know, sometimes, I mean, it's challenging for all of us, but to be able to do that with support from you guys and from the community, it's just awesome. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
One of the things I wanted to mention this because I think I'm mentioning it almost in every single interview because it seems so relevant sometimes that, you know, there's people who have been privileged and we'll say white and we'll say men, you know, and they've gone to the right schools and they've got all the right stuff to be accomplished. And there are also people who've never finished high school or just barely finished high school who are very accomplished, you know, women, of color, you know, whatever. And we, every one of us, there's success for all of us, as well as the importance of seeing that just because somebody follows the economic strategies of a, you know, MBA kind of thing, that does not mean success. That does, you know, they may have gone to the right schools and all, it does not mean success. It's really that place of heart-focused intention and what's true to our own integrity in bringing our own gifts to the world the way that's ours to bring, much like you were saying. So I think it's so important to remember that it's not the business guys that have the only avenue to success, that we all have that avenue to success if we're willing to empower ourselves to make it so.
Yeah, and success, I think for us, we're in a really, really interesting and fun time in our organization because we're starting our next strategic planning session as an organization and having the conversations around success. And, you know, we do measure, we measure self-employment metrics, you know, business licenses, revenue, those types of things. But I think, and we all as a staff agree that there are ripple effects of folks who don't open a business that are successful and realize their success and realize their path and what path to walk in the world after engaging in 8 weeks of, is entrepreneurship right for me?
Yes.
And if it's a no, that's okay. And granted, we don't measure that right now. Maybe in the future we will. But when they say, you know what, I'm actually more confident to go and talk to my kids' teachers, and I'm more confident to apply for that promotion at work, or I can actually open my bank statements and look at them, and that's really, that encompasses success on so many levels. So
absolutely.
And everybody, we really want people to define what success does look like for them, and that's putting the clients back in the driver's seat of their experience with us. And
yes,
and I'm so appreciative of that.
Yes.
that happens.
That's awesome, because you're allowing them to define their level of success, yes, what success means to them, and being successful in what they want to create in the world, which may not, like you're saying, it may not be being an entrepreneur or a small business or tiny business owner.
Yeah. Yep.
So Jen, anything in particular, one little like, oh my God, I wish they knew, or I wish I had said, for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah. I stand really strong in the fact that everybody has the opportunity to explore if entrepreneurship is a path for them, and everybody should have that opportunity. And so that's a role that we fill in the community. And I just encourage people that if they're interested or know somebody who might be interested in playing around with that question, everybody has the right to explore that question. So that's Beautiful. What I would add.
Beautiful. Yeah. Are there ventures, nonprofits, or similar organizations in other parts of the country that you know of?
Yeah, so we're considered a micro enterprise development organization. And so...
Okay, so wait. Say that again slowly. Yeah. Micro enterprise... development organization. Okay.
And the acronym is MDO. And the Association for Enterprise Opportunity, AEO, is the national kind of governing body. They do a lot of work with micro enterprises nationally, and so people can go to the AEO website if they'd like. The CDFI website, Community Development Financial Institutions, lists other organizations providing access to capital, financial education, things of that nature. But micro enterprises are these organizations supporting low wealth, underserved communities in entrepreneurship. They're everywhere. So I encourage folks to learn about what's available in their community, because a lot of people don't know about them and what's available. So yeah.
And it's, you know, it's like people who have, so for instance, people I know, people in the Bay Area will say, who have gotten their master's degrees and are intending to be therapists, but they can't get their businesses off the ground. Mm-hmm. Would they be someone that could come to an MDO or MDO? Yeah. Okay, great.
They can. And, you know, a lot of organizations like ours, they do have income requirements that folks need to meet. But the local SBA office is also a really great resource for businesses. We do a lot of cross referrals with them.
And say who that is again?
Yeah, SBA.gov, the Small Business Administration. So
okay.
they're a wonderful partner of Ventures. They provide a lot of referrals and resources, workshops, training, assistance, loans to small businesses in communities. Yeah.
So it's SBA.gov.
Yes.
So it's really great, because it's like, oh, I can't do that because I'm not, you know, fit into this or that. Mm-hmm. But to say, oh, here's MDO.orgs and here's what's the other one that you said?
AEO.
AEO.org, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That these are organizations that any of us who are small business individuals or tiny, I like that, tiny, because I'm one person, so mm-hmm. I'm a tiny mm-hmm. business. I should have named this Tiny Business Gurus. So, but there's support for us, and yes. but the thing is that personal part of us that says, why not take advantage of this? Why not allow mm-hmm. for myself to receive this and empower myself, because it's going to make a difference in my business, no doubt.
Yeah.
So again, venturesnonprofit.org.
Yep.
Great. And you are your enterprise is your specific one.
Yep. nourishedvitality.weebly.com. Yeah.
nourishedvitality.weebly.com. Jen Hughes, thank you so much. And they can find you on Facebook and online and Google Ventures Nonprofit, and there's all kinds of good stuff out there for you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was really great.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for everything that we've shared.
Yeah.
All right. Bye for now.
All right, take care. Bye.